often put it this way. In order for us to be in the state that we're in today as people, we have to be out of our minds. We literally have to be crazy. It is necessary for us to be crazy. It is necessary for us to be backwards. It is necessary for us to be maladjusted. It is necessary for us to be disunited. It is necessary for us to be self-hating. It is necessary for us to be filled with an inferiority complex. In a world where the European is essentially about 10% of the world's population, if that 10% is to continue to rule over the other 90%, it must keep that 90% out of its mind. It must keep that 90% in a state of deception. It must keep...
Thank you for tapping in. It's Brian HRap B. Williams. This is the End of the Bench Meeting. This is a program called Few Minutes with HRap. Today is truly going to be a few minutes. Thank you for tapping in. If you're watching this live, if you're not watching this live, please go to www.theendofthebench.com. That is www.theendofthebench.com, where you can see a lot of my material, and you can go to YouTube and get the rest. Last 90 days is right there. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, I want to bring this to you. I bring a few things to your attention, and you know my mantra: we want to make our life for our great-grandchildren's grandchildren better than we can ever imagine our great-grandchildren's grandchildren. We need to be thinking that far into the future. Before I start, I do this every episode. Thank you to Dolores and John. They are my parents. They came together, created me. I created this, and without them, you'll be doing something else with your valuable time. Community chaos. We are living in a bait and switch kind of world. We are living in a world in which chaos is the order of the day. The people who are in control of the government, they will never allow you to think. Capitalism makes you, we are living in a capitalistic society, and capitalism makes you think that you're actually thinking when you're not thinking. When you present something to someone and you give them options, but you dictate the options, they have not thought about this. Hey, we can go to wherever you want to eat. It's on me, McDonald's or Burger King. And you pick Burger King. No, you didn't pick Burger King. You thought you picked Burger King. I picked Burger King. I picked McDonald's or I picked Burger King. I said, you can go wherever you want. You stop listening. And I said McDonald's or Burger King. It's your choice to pick the president, Biden or Harris. Biden and Harris or Trump and Vance. These are the things that we're looking at. This is what we participate in on a regular basis. And then you say, we choose. Do you really choose? What do you really choose? You were told Mercedes is a great car. You were told Ford isn't. You were told Nissan is a great car. You were told Hyundai isn't. You were told these things. You didn't look into them. You listened to a few people and you made a snap judgment on limited information. This is why today is called Community and Chaos, controlled chaos. Because when they control the chaos, you stop thinking. And when you stop thinking, you start emotionally reacting. And when you start emotionally reacting, you take away your ability to think and process and decide what's best for you. And that's the world we're living in these United States of America. That's what we're dealing with. We consistently hit a situation to whereas we think we're in control of what we digest, what we consume, what we put in our bodies. We are not in control of those things unless you have the ability to control those things. Now, you do, in accordance to the law, have that ability, but most people in these United States of America, especially the people I'm speaking directly to, my community, we don't engage in those rules. We just complain. And when you complain, you become subdued. And when you're subdued, some people can take advantage of you. And people, that's what's taking place right now. That's why today I want to come at you with some instances and some things that are on my mind. So hopefully it will trigger you and it will trigger others to put ourselves in a better situation, because we are surviving. We are existing. We're not living. And as long as we're not living, people can control what we do, how we think, how we live, where we go, and things of that nature. Narratives have been given out over the last 160 plus years, and we've gone along with most of those narratives instead of looking at the factual information that has been presented to us. Perfect example of after the emancipation, you were told that Abraham Lincoln is a friend of the black people. He's not. He's one of the biggest racists in the history of the United States of America. He literally is. He was anti-freedom of our ancestors. But you know what? It was this one instance where 500,000 of our ancestors ran to the Union side, helped them win, and he was forced to go against what he wanted to do. Understand what we're dealing with. When you allow the lion to tell the story of the hunted, it's a different story. When you allow the hunter to tell the story of the hunted, the hunter is always the hero. The lion will always be, he's a wild beast. He's uncontrollable. Listen to him roar, that's rage. They do that to our community. We are out of control. We're loud and boisterous, and they need to just be happy with us allowing them to exist. And look at the way they act. These are the adjectives that are attributed to people in my community, and then they show you on a reel everything that's wrong with your community. I challenge people. I'm up to 50 now, and no one has been able to do it. Think about 10 people in your life, just 10 people with children. How many of those people, and I'm not talking about drug dealers or gang members, because you know what? People who participate in nefarious acts in vice and have vice police officers attempting to apprehend them, that's nothing new. I'm talking about this chaotic behavior where people are just insanely rude and disrespectful and disregarding of cultural norms. Think of 10 people and think of their children. How many of their children are participating in that? So why would you? Hey, I haven't found anybody who has one. So, and I'm up to 50. So if you don't know anybody or you know very few people that are participating in kind of chaos, why do we attribute that to every young person in our community? That is a self-destructive mentality, because you don't think enough of your community to say that's not true. Because I have 6 nieces and nephews by one sibling. I have others by other siblings. None of them or their children are participating in these types of behavior. I've contacted, as I stated, I've contacted 50 people, and no one can say, you may have a person who goes wayward. Some people create and join street organizations. Some people feel as if they must use the sale of narcotics to support their lives. Again, that isn't anything that didn't happen in it's 2025. It was happening in 1925, 1950, 1970, 2000, and here it is 25, 100 years, and the same thing has been happening. So why is it that the focal point is being placed on our community or our young people? Or look at this. You know why? Because we haven't decided, do we want to pick chaos or community? We haven't decided that. Do you want to pick chaos or community? Because when you decide if you want to pick chaos or community, you'll decide what you want your community to be like. Do you want chaotic behavior in your community? That's what you'll decide. In that moment, you'll say, I no longer want chaos. I want community. This is the title of a book by the late, great Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. It's the last book. It was posthumously published. It's a wonderful book, but I'm not going to focus on that. I'm going to focus on, are we going to choose the chaos that we see in the news media, the chaos that is being pushed in front of us on social media and all kind of outlets, or we are going to pay attention to the communities that we live in and realize that this behavior does not permeate through the entire community? There's a small portion of the population that's even participating in criminality. There are over 300 million people in these United States of America. Less than 6 million of those people are incarcerated. Less than 6 million of those people are incarcerated. So we're talking about less than 5%. And you want me to believe that criminality is running wild. Some people will say, hey, well, those are the people that just were apprehended. Cool. Let's move it up to 10 million. If you had $300 in your pocket and you received a $10 fine, you would peel it off that $300 like it was nothing because it is a minute portion of your wealth. So why would you assume that 10% or less than 10% of the population participating in nefarious activities, chaotic behavior, and not adhering to social norms is a problem? Because you were told that. Because you are not participating in community, you are believing in chaos. We can no longer do these things. We can no longer live in this universe in which someone can tell you what's going on in your house. Your community is your house. The way you live is your house. Therefore, if you believe what other people tell you, then you no longer have the ability to control your house. You can't control the narrative. You can do nothing but put yourself in a situation in which you will lose. And when you lose, don't get upset. Don't get upset. Because when you get upset because you're losing and you're not in control of the narrative in your community, you're not in control of the people that are in your community, you're just assuming that the people who are telling you that your neighborhood is a horrible place to live, even though you walk through it every day, no one has accosted you. Even though you live in it every day, no one has broken into your home, no one has taken your vehicle, no one. Millions of people every day are participating in the same thing. It may not look as aesthetically pleasing as you would, as you dreamed of, but guess what? That's part of your problem as well, because you haven't taken ownership of your environment. See, if you choose community, you pick up trash. You complain to your people who are elected officials. You need more trash receptacles. You need more street cleaning. You need more opportunities for trash to be in a can and not on the sidewalk. See, we complain about taxes here in Chicago, but what are those taxes attributing to? And that's the problem. We are not engaging in the improvement and the control of our communities. We are engaging in the listening to and or ignoring the destruction of your community, the destruction of the image of the community, the people in the community, the people who are being reared inside the community. And we continue to harken back to what it used to be like, but we're not participating in the activities in which the community used to participate in. And this is why you must choose chaos or the community. And if you can choose chaos, don't complain when your situation is chaotic. You used to have a spiritual base, but now I've read this and that's fake. But that got you to where you are, and you just build on it. You don't say, hey, I'm not using rubber for tires because I got a flat. What you do is say, I'll use a different form of reinforced rubber to ensure that a thumbtack or something like that doesn't derail my travels. You take what you have and you build off of it. You don't waste time destroying what was. You build towards what is. This is just like in the biblical story of Lot, and God told him, run. In Sodom and Gomorrah, you told him to run and don't look back. And his significant other looked back, and it said she turned into a pillar of salt. What if she didn't turn into a pillar of salt, but maybe she was encapsulated with a salty mentality, a bitter mentality, and she always looked back because she couldn't see what was on the horizon? Maybe that's the answer to this question. Maybe if he went on to his blessings, because he said, yeah, I used to have a big, pretty house. I used to have land, but he ran up on an opportunity that was equally pleasing. But if you continue to look back at what used to be, you'll never understand what's on the horizon. Point blank, period, end of story. Now, community or chaos is the answer. Damn it, is the question. Then what you think about is, why do you have to choose community or chaos? Because you're participating in the manufactured madness of your community. The manufacturing of madness. We're in the midst of it right now. I am going to be extremely hypocritical because either Monday or the following Monday, I am going to participate in some of that madness. There's a documentary out there, and in our culture, it's a top 10 video on Netflix. It's called something about Sean Combs. And they're exploiting, they're showing all his exploits, excuse me. Now, it could be received as, some people are receiving it as informative. Some people are galvanizing around it and damning him. Some people are damning the producer, which is Curtis 50 Cent Jackson. And other people are damning the people who are participating in. I'm one of the people who are damning the latter. But the problem isn't the video. The problem is, where's the conversation about SNAP benefits? Where's the conversation about health benefits? Where's the conversation about more than 100,000 black women losing their jobs? But we're worried about some multimillionaire exposing a billionaire and his sexual exploits and his nefarious activities. He will be if he's guilty of these things. He is having penance right now. But instead of investing in the destruction of someone's character, how about we invest that same financial yield to investing in our children's character and creating a community in which the manufactured madness will not pour into it? Another form of manufactured madness, we're talking about boats being blown up and potential drug dealers. Meanwhile, again, the HBCUs are under attack. Your voting rights are under attack. You're paying attention to the manufactured madness, while the other hand is going into your wallet and robbing you blind. Brothers and sisters, we can no longer fall for these things. Curtis 50 Cent Jackson, don't you, you can call me a conspiracy theorist or what have you, but don't you find it wildly coincidental that this documentary comes out 2 weeks before the end of the year, when your insurance rate goes up, when the president is potentially ducking allegations that will link him to a pedophile ring, that the Constitution itself is being violated? Why are we not talking about those things? But pop culture is talking about something that has nothing to do with us. It will not affect 99.99999% of the people that watch that. It will have no bearing on it. But you know what? The fact that hospitals are being shut down at the top of the year, SNAP benefits are being shut down, in the balance. You have health care being in the balance. But we're not talking about that. A lot of us are talking about a billionaire exploiting other famous people. Famous people who, from my estimation, knew what they were getting into. One young lady said, I had my attorney read the contract, and he laughed and said, what they're selling you is fame, not fortune. And she said, and I happily signed it. At that moment, you're no longer a victim. You've engaged. You've engaged. But I am going to pay attention because I'm a content creator, and that's going to be some of the content that I participate in. But think about what I'm doing to my folks, talking about this foolishness. But at least I offer a balance in a program along the lines of this. I offer a balance. But what about the people that don't? Manufactured madness. That's what we're engaged in. Because nobody's talking about what's going to affect your life. Nobody's talking about the fact that they want to rule out the potential termination of pregnancies, even in the event that it may kill the carrier. You would rather have a woman die and no one and then a child come into this world and you don't want to offer any assistance than to participate in then leaving that family up to its own. You want to talk about family values, and you have a hooligan as your poster child. A hooligan. But this is the manufactured madness that we consistently participate in. And all we have to do is come up with a way to end it. The cure. The cure. The cure of manufactured madness. The cure of the ability to have to choose community or chaos. The cure is simple. It is extremely simple. I'm here to tell you. Invest in us. See, if 300,000 black women are all of a sudden unemployed, that means 300,000 black women were making a tremendous dent in corporate America and made corporate America seem like the place to be. They were heads of industry, heads of companies. They were doing heads of departments, and those departments were running like a freight train in the middle of the night, unabashed. And we allow us, hey man, we have to do something about that. What we need to do is stop, look, pay attention to the past. Let history be our guide. What does history teach us? Then we don't really need anybody in this country. Ida B. Wells at a newspaper highlighting the lynching of our people. She was born in 1860. She lived into the 1900s, but her job was to shine a light on things. People like George Washington Carver, people like W.B. Du Bois, people like Sojourner Truth, people like Fannie Lou Hamer. These people in our past, and not so distant past, showed us that in the midst of gunplay, lynching, redlining, Jim and Jane Crow segregation, we continue to rise. We don't need to integrate into anything. You stay on your side of the street, but you welcome everybody. You don't have to cross the street. You don't have to engage with anybody who does not want to participate with you. The cure is this. You engage with people like myself and others. Professor Karen Hunter, Professor Dr. Greg Carr, Lamont King, Larry Daniel Favors, Clay Kane, Reese Colbert, and others who are not gatekeepers, but they are presenters of information in which you can chew up the meat and spit out the bones for, and make cognitive decisions to make your life better than it is today. You look at your past and see people who fought through bondage, fought through the destruction of the culture, fought through the inability to live in freedom, but still, once they had a ray of sunshine, they created an empire. See, if you're going to brag about your creativity and your contributions, you need to know about that creativity and know about those contributions and be able to build upon each one. If you are flatlining, then maybe you've maxed out, but then that means you need to be an inspiration to the younger people behind you and be counsel for those people. Don't just complain. Do something about it. The price of admission of a complaint is to come up with an answer. See, stop complaining about things. Stop participating in things and slogans and saying and quoting scripture. I want to be able to control the things I can and not be bothered about I can and not be bothered about the things that I can't. But then you complain about you watch the weather every night and complain in the city of Chicago or in the county of Cook in Illinois about it being snow on the ground in December. You might actually be mentally ill. Because if you are 50, 40, 30 years old and you complain that it's cold in Illinois, Northeast Illinois in December, I'm going to start to question your intelligence. That's like complaining that you must shower in the morning. That's like complaining that you have to eat today because you have to. So what's the complaint? The answer is this. Create a situation to whereas maybe you don't have to leave your home. What was the purpose of all that college education? What was the purpose of all that bragging about intuitiveness and engaging and creativity? If you're not going to participate in that same creativity, ingenuity, and stick-to-itiveness, we can no longer brag about our ancestors, brag about our parents and grandparents, if we're not going to take the reins and take their dreams into the next millennium. Yeah, that's how far ahead we need to be dreaming. Yes, dreaming with your eyes open. Stop complaining. If you can identify and I'm not speaking to anyone in particular, and the person who is going to seem like I'm not. Stop knowing that I need this and I need that, and you misspelled this and you misspelled that, or I didn't like the shirt you had on. And when you see someone dressed a specific way, you tear them down immediately, or look at the way they talk, or look, if you can identify every flaw in someone, that's not their problem, that's your problem. Because guess what? As I said, the price of admission of a complaint is a solution. The people who address me, if they see something wrong with my program, they say, hey man, you did this. My man, thank you, man. If you're not offering a solution though, then maybe you're the problem. The cure is simple. Immobilize, organize, galvanize, move forward. You can continue to complain, you can continue to excuse, and you can continue to overlook. And when someone addresses something that you may not notice, excuse your ignorance by saying, but see. Or you can take heed, chew up the meat, spit out the bones, and move forward. With that being said, thank you for participating. I'm Brian HRap B. Williams. I'll see you soon.
Growth in wisdom, knowledge, you see, self-understanding and self-discovery, healthy relations, self-control, all those things are hateful. But this is the only way a minority can rule over a majority of people, is by turning their minds backwards so that they love the things that destroy them and hate the things that move them forward. In order for these people to rule over us, we must hate learning. It has to be built into us. We must think that we can't do math. Because you see, if we do math, if we were into learning, if we were into research and into thinking and into, real philosophical ideas and abstractions, we would defeat those people. They know it. So consequently, what they must do is rob you of all of these things so that they may stay in there.